Croeso Ffrindiau, welcome dear friends, to our second Conversatzione. The idea of the Conversatzione program is to provide a space for eclectic events and gatherings, music, art, society, political discussions, but just very small scale. The idea here is maximum 50 people, so that there are social networking at a very human level. And we kicked off just over 2 months ago with a piano recital by Beatrice Nicholas, which for me was absolutely fabulous. It included a world premiere of Lola Parent, a contemporary piece, and most moving for me was a young Navajo Indian composer. And that piece took James and I back to where we lived in Colorado and the whole Southwest. So power of music to move people. And today we're going to talk about the power of art, as in visual art. Whatever we do here, there's going to be a chance to mingle and meet the artist or the performer. And Raul is very graciously given up a lot of time, and Heather, his lovely wife, to bring all this art up from Solva and spread it around the house. It's quite amazing. I woke up this morning and I felt like I was in Alice in Wonderland. It was truly a most amazing experience. So Raul wanted to call this exhibition Mi Peregrinación, my pilgrimage, and we're going to explore that theme in a little bit of Q&A right now. It's essentially a journey, as in a pilgrimage is a journey. This one is from Guantanamo in Cuba through London to Solva in Pembrokeshire, pretty unusual journey. And we want to explore the impressions that different landscapes and different cultures have made on Raul and how they've been transformed into his art. It's a big task, so I'm going to be quite brief. I'm going to explore three things in my Q&A with Raul, and then go mingle, go talk to Raul and explore whatever you're curious about. All of the ground floor is open. You've probably already been around. After the talk, there will be some light refreshments, canapes and so on, in the dining room, and back in the kitchen there'll be some hot drinks, so tea, coffee, and I believe some brownies. This is not a for sale exhibition per se. This is really Raul wanted to meet and talk to people. If anybody is interested in any of his paintings, they are of course available from the gallery in Solva, but chat with Heather, who has the very difficult job of managing Raul. But yes, this is not a sale event, but it is something where I'm sure there'll be interest in his extremely striking paintings. We sort of started out with themes in rooms, and then we kind of started cross-fertilizing. So I'm not going to explain what they are by room. So I'm going to just try and walk us through. This is a difficult task because there's so many different styles, Raul, that you work in, and I know that for you these different styles have been. Just 1 second, Brenda. There's some seats at the front.
Sorry, Willie.
Come through. We're only just getting started.
They're too shy to come. Can I just go and bring them in?
Yeah, please do. All right.
Can I say something before? Because I want to mention myself. Heather, she's still working. Everything has been happening here today. I only have a grown idea, and somebody had to make it. And likewise, Heather who does the whole thing. And this all behind the scenes is a lot of work, and she's still working now. And I want to give you help me a clap to Heather.
Yeah, thank you indeed. A lot of hard work gone into to getting the exhibition ready today. All right, so this is Raul's pilgrimage journey. I'm going to try and frame this in 3 points. One is Cuba, one is London, and one is Solomon, Pembrokeshire. But in all of these, we want to know, Raul, about how those places and how those times influenced you, and kind of relate everything to your art and how it came out in your art. As I look around the house, there's so many engaging paintings, so many impactful paintings. When you first walked through the door, what you were faced is a tall drawing, which is Fidel Castro. With the jagged teeth and obviously barking away. In a second I'll ask you to just expand upon Cuba, but that impact. There's other paintings in the Yellow Room which are also about Cuba, and the narrative there is counter-colonialism. But I think we'd love to hear your insights into that. As you go to the kitchen, we're very much into religion. And I do want to explore that with you as well, Raul. So we're going to begin at the beginning, as they say. So 1958, you were born. By 6, you were painting. And if the stories I've read are true, you started painting with toothpaste and berries. But you've still got a really big smile, so obviously you gave up the toothpaste and moved on to other. So Raul, tell us about
if we remember the one who are old as me, people who born 1958, remember the Cuban Missile Crisis. And Cuba becoming the biggest Monaco in the whole world. If you are Kendall Brunel or Winston Churchill or whatever you are nobody unless you have a Havana cigar or a house in Havana. And then suddenly, that stopped. 1959, the revolution began. But I born in November 1958. I was 1 month old. And then all the women around my area, because the Castro family, they are from my region, Guantanamo, the largest span of land. All the women, they were in love with Raul Castro's brother. And all the children who born in that year, they call Raul. I remember the teacher go, Fidel, here, Raul, and then I became a Raul because Raul Castro. But as soon as the revolution began, all the middle class leave Cuba like they go to the garden. And they leave the key in the door because they saw the American will come in and will kick Castro in a week. They are still waiting. That means the revolution was mainly for the majority of 10 million of poor, disenfranchised, very poor land farmer people. And there are two groups of the people who despise Castro. There are many the people who lost property, and people like me who just is the only thing I saw, the revolution. And then everything began to cut off. The American sanctioned Cuba, and the Russian, long story, they went to Cuba, and everything was for Russia. Everything, because Cuba was like nice. We can expand the communism outside of the bloc for the first time, and we make sure that Cuba happened. And they flooded Cuba with everything for free, books, and the toothpaste. It used to be a Russian toothpaste and looking like a plaster for one thing I will say, people talk about style. I do not have to go style. And now today I do not want to have a style. But as a child, I want to disappear into my head. And then anything will make a color. My mother was they say, don't say mistress, say see mistress. And then the first part when I saw this, my mother cutting clothes and making dresses, this was the first color I saw. And if I want to painting, I used to go to anybody remember the shopping where everywhere you buy bread, sweet, the bakery, the butcher, they have a pile of paper, dark paper, like that. And then they put whatever you buy in this paper and they go.
Yes, the butcher's paper.
Okay. I used to go there and pinch some of them. I'm lying in the corridor. I own a painting on the floor. I still do it today when I can. It's taking me half an hour to get out later. And I take the toothpaste and I try all the things who grow wild. And I press it with my finger and it has some color. I push in the paper and I push toothpaste. And by the way, I has been interviewed in Cuban television, and I went to a private view, and a man really insulted me like it really went for me, because so you lie in the revolution, give you this and you say you're painting with, and he saw I was attacking the revolution for. I said, well, that's the truth. I don't know anything about art. I just want to paint.
Very good. And good that you've moved on to oil paints and canvas. So in the Yellow Room, there's a couple of striking paintings. Well, striking paintings not around the house, but there's a tall one, 1492, and the red dog. And these are the Castro War. This is the colonial era.
Yeah.
How did that affect you?
I was standing in an exhibition like you are, with all artists who coming from New York. They love the revolution, and they saw maybe the revolution was going to be marvelous for us. And they were very lefty people, who studying in France, world business. And a man come in and say, "Where are you from?" And I go, "I'm from Guantanamo." I say, No. Where are you coming from? Your family? Because I see in you Africa Aboriginal. He was an anthropologist, artist, and he worked with world business, and he was very good discerning character. And then he helped me to investigate. Then when Christopher Colombo arrived in Baracoa, Guantanamo, 1492, they were Aboriginal, pre-Columbian Indian people who they're looking like my mother and my family, and they were all living there, standing there without the knowledge where they're coming from. And then when the Spanish arrived, because the hard work, either one of these Aboriginal run away, they take it back, and in front the rest of the Aboriginal, they cut the feet, as an example. But then some of these people escaped to a very high mountain where my family coming from, and they brought African slavery. And then the African slavery escaped to the same mountain, and then interrace. And then over the year, you have this African tribal people looking like an Indian with feathers and painting the face. And then that's who I am. But the revolution want to wipe out that story and make it more African, because black people sound more good for political stuff, And Castro was friends with Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, and he want to damn the history of the Aboriginal, because he's a Spanish as well, and to bring Africa because he want to go into Africa. He was interfering in Africa and Angola, and in Africa's gold, diamond, and then I decided I became very aware, very political aware. And then, can I carry on?
Yeah.
When I came here with the BBC, a documentary about the communism, because the BBC saw Cuba will fail during the blow. And then I made an exhibition with that painting, how I feel. And I arrived in London I found out all the Spanish people in Europe want to celebrate the arrival or the discovery of the new world. But we say, no. We don't want to celebrate anything, because what the Spanish did was destroy all our culture. And was a big fighting between the authorities who the United Nations want to celebrate the discovery of the new world, but us is saying, no, that's not good, because we just destroy everything in Latin America. And then I began to create. And I went more into my psyche and remember my family. They are really Aboriginal. Really, they have got they are into something that in English Hollywood call it voodoo, but it's a kind of animistic religion. and they all like healers. And my mother used to use, and I remember this healing Aboriginal with chanting, and then I just went inside that. And when I arrived in here, I was like very political and very like, and then I began to do these pictures, and especially the women at that time, they went for me. Why are you painting these women without head, without feet? And they never want to ask me.
Yeah.
What is it? No, they just went for me like that. I couldn't exhibit it, and the Torah picture you say, a little boy went, Daddy, look at this. And I go, oh no, she's, and then I began to, and it's a very large exhibition. And the women with the dog, the red dog, is because the Spanish brought horses, they brought dogs. We never see a dog before, and then they used the dog to hunt the Aboriginal and the African. But it was very difficult to exhibit it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of historical commentary in that, in what's come out from your Cuban.
Also because I later went to an art academia, but I decided to make if I have got the embellisher of an Aboriginal artist, and then I just went back into that kind of spiritual rescue of who I was and understanding where we coming from, and it was a very long process. But that's the first time I exhibited in here those pictures.
Yeah, thank you. Going to move to London in a second, but before I do, off canvas you are also
Crazy.
well, you all know that, but you're also a lover of music, playing music, jazz, piano.
Yeah.
Some of you may have heard some piano as you were coming in, and if we're lucky, you'll go and play a little more. But your musical interest developed also at a very young age. Was that your?
Okay, a few days ago, somebody came in running, and I said, "Oh, Raul, you that band that they have got a Grammy nomination," and I go, "What do you mean? They are dead as 25 years ago." And they go, "What they want to do with a Grammy nomination? They are dead." And what happened was that this little band from Cuba, they are very black people, and what I mean, they are so black that just sometimes like it black like my clothes. People sometimes found that phrase uncomfortable, but I don't. I'm a little nigger person. In my family, we talk like that. But what I mean is that he's very black in his skin, and he's not like me. He's an uncontaminated and mixed race. He's a pure black person. And these people, they live long because you cannot tell how old they are. When I born, my dad was already. And this band that they play acoustical instrument, handmade, and there's some of them coming from Haiti after the Industrial Revolution, and in Haiti the revolution, escaped to Guantanamo, they swim to Guantanamo, they speak French patois, and they have an enormous amount of dark, because the Aboriginal have like a spiritual view of the world. It's why the women look like birds and pineapple, because we believe that the life is all life. Doesn't matter what, animals, birds, whatever. We respect the nature. But the African have like a manipulation of the darkness. They have this power and it's very sobrio kind of attitude. And then my father coming from that kind of all African tradition, where it's very embedded, it's all the time in your head. And the music reflected this kind of drum, which is very ancient drum from Africa. And nobody can play those drums, those boys. And they coming from the 19th centuries. And now they realize there are two bands in the world, like this. The Chieftain in Ireland, and the Changui in Guantanamo. I don't know what a Changui means. I mean, must be like a patois or sandwich. Because this is the word sandwich, sounds like a sandwich. And I don't know. And then my family, they're all musicians. All my friends, people accusing me to drop names. Okay. All my generation, they are Oscar nomination for movies and And it's just a line of people who I grew up, and I was influenced by those Cuba's pure music, everybody, and stuff like that. And then music is part of who I am. And I don't want to be a painter, I want to be a musician. I guess for me, I born as a painter. I don't want to be a painter, I never thought. It's like a second nature to me. But sometimes I wish I could have a concert or something like that. But coming from for that kind of
very
culture.
good. And we'll return at the very end to music. Let's move to the second place and time point. So you're 33 years old, it's 1991, and you come to London. How did that even happen? And why?
Let's make a short story. I was studying in Cuba. Have a very old painter who was like, we call it the Cuban Vincent van Gogh. And he was so unusual that after high school he used to go to Cuba and he used to buy his painting. And it's a movie was called The Raw. The Raw?
Okay.
Where all the painting in the film they are by this man. And he hated the revolution, he hated Castro. And his son has been elevated to this kind of Cuba position where he's a very good friend of Castro, but Castro hates gay people. And I mean, it's like a weird relation. And he was one of the first person who, because a lot of friends might say, how do you have in the studio, these people? Cuba was very machistical culture at that time. You believe in this kind of gay guy in the studio, and I go, look, I don't see, he's my friend. I'm not interested. I love the guy, And then one day maybe he was thinking about, I had to tell Raul what is being gay mean or whatever, because Cuba could be very, very nasty. And then he said, well, do you know you like women? You painting women naked, women this, women that. Sure you love women, okay? And then he said, imagine that you have to pretend that you don't like women. And you like men, and I go, okay, I understand now. And then that process, that part of my life, and he hated Castro, like he was poison against Castro when he was friend. And then he used to be an American ambassador who sent his wife to buy my pictures. And he was navigating this kind of danger of communismo, anti-communismo. And he said, tomorrow the ABC coming to do a documentary because I think you are the chief in charge of anti-Castro people. And I was there, and he told me the ABC. And the next day was the BBC. And they want to know if Cuba was going to fail like the German, no? And we have always Germans. I don't know what's a war in Berlin. Nobody knew Cuba. Nobody told us. And they went to Cuba and then Miami. And then they interviewed me as a young Cuba revolution child and I was featured in that movie. Later they bring me an exhibition to Holland Park in London, and they allowed me into all these BBC arenas. When they saw how bad was the situation, they allowed me to do my paper. My paper said BBC. They pay for my journeys and things like that. And when I arrived here, they go, "Oh, Raul, you don't speak English. You don't know anything about London. We are going to Brazil for 2 months and a half." And I went to Brazil with the BBC. And I traveled all around the world with the BBC. And to that environment, I knew a place where I got a studio. And one day, these two guys coming now, very nice dress. And I go, I know you. Where are you from? And I go, Gilbert and George. And they become like my parents. And we used to go to, because in my culture, you respect all people. And you have we have this kind of respect for all the. And then Gilbert and George for me, because I knew who they were. And we used to go together to all day breakfast and things like that. And we made the best friend we keep it now in London. And that's opened the door for me. And that moment was the Turner Prize began. I exhibited with Tracy Emin. I exhibited with Cornelia Park. Damien Harris to go to my studio, and then somebody say, Raul, you coming to London in a golden cup. But it's a matter, it was a coincidence, and then.
But it's yeah, I mean that's a.
I was very unhappy. Unhappy. Okay. When you're an artist, a young person, and you want to be famous with famous people, and you're standing with those people there who are famous, and you go, this is what I want, but why I'm not happy? I don't tell anybody, but I feel like I don't know, was something wrong, and I was depressed inside me, and like the art I want to do, I want to paint it with a brush. And as you know, Tracy was doing the bird, Damien hair was charcoal from the box, and I go, oh, these people there, and then I could explain how I explain to you now, but it was something inside me that I could not negotiate it, and I come with a political heritage.
So yeah, so the leaving of Cuba was obviously something where you were happy to be leaving behind. Quite a bit from the political culture there and other aspects. You've got BBC and friends who really opened the door for you living here. As you settled in London, how did it manifest in art? What sort of paintings were you creating after you had settled into the different culture?
I mean, to be honest, I went to one of the most important art academy in Cuba, which is called Saint Alejandro. All Latin American artists, they went to Spain, they went to France, and they became teachers at academia. Very tough, proper art academy. But by the time I went to the art academia, they were all my friends, and I go, oh, and they went tough on me. They were quite softer because Cuba was not that big, and then we all friends. Then I did not finish because I went to the military service. But saying that, and the military service was my most prolific. Prolific? Yeah, because they only have about this country on the art. And everything had to be Che Guevara, long year revolution, you know, the kind of thing. And I could paint it. I was so brainwashed that today I could paint all the images of Castro, Che Guevara by memory. It's how I could go. If you go to Cuba, you will see mural, you know, like you have in Northern Ireland, whatever. No, I used to do that in Cuba, and the army they love it, and they have a lot of resources. And they have to go. I used to go to Russian.
So, Ralph, my question is, what were you painting in England? So when you moved here, and you sort of settled in. What were you painting there? Were you painting still Cuban from then?
Yeah, what I mean, that kind of Cuban background, where you have to go, because art have to go a form and a architecture of meaning. And then when I went to art school, and the generation who I grew up for the 20th century, to the Baroque to the 20th century, you have got the form and the architecture, how to use talk through the art. And we call it architecture of the meaning. That is interlocked. But because I come from a very, very heavily ideological, religious, spiritual background, and I say Tracy Emin, Tracy needs to live it like this. It's not like a chico. No, a lady went to the house of Tracy and she saw, Tracy, all of this mess. Maybe she was joking. You truly see it and you go, good idea. And then that is not the way I see the art. It was Damien Hirst with the charcoal, and I go, what he want to say? What is mean? And then I have got this kind of train, whatever. And then I say, okay, one thing I don't like about the UK is television, commercial. And I used to hate commercial. But I learned in English by copying all the commercial phrases. I really learning all this commercial, how I learn in English. And I decided to make a sculpture using television set. And I put two horn, like a Spanish horn, and hang it from the ceiling, and I'm swinging them, and I used to box it with them. Because I said, well, these people, they looking. I was trying to look my way to get into the fashion of what artists mean for London 1991. And for me it was the meaning. And then I said, how I express that I hate television? Because what I noticed was they're using children to promote product. And I go, oh my God, children promoting. I mean, everything was like a hundreds and hundreds of issues that I do not agree, coming from Cuba. And then I had to break that, and then I say, okay, the only way I will understand this country is if I forget completely about Cuba. Because her mother, she know more than Cuba about me. And, oh, Raul, you know Cuba happiness. Oh, you know what happiness is. And I go, oh no, we don't. And then, causing, I have to forget about Cuba and try to assimilate the language. Like you go to a place and they go, how many love? And you go, and the lady go, no love, that way. And I go, oh Jesus,
All right, well, that's so yeah, you've got a lot of cultural adjustment from Cuba to England and society in London. I'm going to move us into Solva, if I may, because we need to talk about kind of Pembrokeshire, and I also want to end and with some other questions. So let's move to Solva. So it's 1995. You're still in your mid-30s. Did you meet Heather in London, presumably?
it's all I had for. Apparently Heather was been here before. And by the end of the 90s, well, the half of the 90s, I mean, Danny Hurst, he used to have go a cigar, and instead to throw away, he decided to sign them. I mean, coming from the communism, and give come and give it. And then he built a big ashtray, and one of those things cost 150 grand. And then you can imagine what that in your mind. And then I organized cafe and restaurant, and then the building I used as a studio belonged to the Royal College of Music, and I used to have part-time work in the Royal College, and then the top is beautiful, like this contemporary this building, and they have a basement, and I go, I will talk to Gabriel and I say, can you give me all your memorabilia? And I will post a restaurant that was called G&G, because how they sign it, G&G. But I never went around to explain then that this was my idea. And then, do I say that, Heather? Do I explain that part?
No.
How we meet them?
Go on to the bit about coming to Pembrokeshire.
What day we meet, and what's her idea? The first holiday we have go together, if you look at the holiday we have go together, was in Pembrokeshire. And then she brought me here. And then we went to this building, and what's a little postcard, handwritten, who say, this building is for sale, price non-negotiable. And then I said, okay, we're looking for a place that we can get together and do what we do. And then when we saw where the chapel is, in that corner, I go, well, it's similar to my studio in London, which is by the corner. And we go,
Okay. So you moved to Solva, and you moved to the studio chapel that you have today. That's wonderful. And so there's in the varied styles of painting that you've got around the house, there are a few that are for me, very, very strongly in the magical realism genre. There's a couple right before you get to the dining room or go into the kitchen, set on the coast, little stone house. One. I mean, it's very, and there's bits of that are Boschian. There's sort of this sphere with a figure, shadowy figure inside. So, tell us about life in Pembrokeshire. I mean, we always think it's a very magical place. How did it affect you?
I have a friend who's called Graham Harewood. Many people you know Graham Harewood. And he's an amazing life painter, landscape. And he used a word, and I love it. He said, "Oh, I love the vernacular." And I go, "Nice word." And when we come into Wales, to Pembrokeshire was like summer was very dark, no color. All around Wales was like a very gloomy, very dark. And we go to chapel, and I go, okay, I had to bring attention to myself because that's the best thing I do. And I went and I bought 2 umbrellas, one red, one white, enormous umbrella. And I put outside, and I went and I did Raul Speek open studio. And then in the top I put a woman, like at the Cuban carnival, like Carmen Miranda. She's very in black, the face, and then pineapple, watermelon. And about 2 days later, 2 guys show from the council, wearing the typical council uniform. And they say, we have complaint from the village because the accusation was, they accusing me, you are lowering down the profile of our village. And that's today is very, just as a crime. Because they say the color, your color, they don't refer what was that? I said, this one? No. Or the other one. But I know what I mean. And somebody in the village they don't like my bright sign. And the builders, the white van builder, they push the hand in the door and go, boom, boom. Oh, hey, where is the carnival? And they go, okay, and they went in bright. And then there used to be a man who passed in a Jaguar, and he go, Hakuna Matata! And he passed, Hakuna Matata! And he go, what do you mean Hakuna Matata? I'm not from Africa, whatever. And one day I went to buy material, more painting, with my dirty clothes, and he stopped, and he put the glass, and I saw the floor, have a long pink carpet, with long hair, pink. And he go, get in. And I go, hey, Hakuna Matata. And he said, my son is a singer. I was David Gray's father, the singer. And he said, I want to paint in my shop because it's called Windows and Wells. And you color because I love those colors. But I'm afraid of the cancer. I go, yes, I know. And then he began from there. And I began from there and went like a wildfire. And slowly, but before we used to go on holiday around Wales, and I have a camera, and I never took a picture. And here I take a picture, and I go, why did you not take a picture? And then she understood that when she went to see what she saw. Oh, I understand why you don't take a picture, because. But I did love those little, all the old house they were deteriorating, no doors, only the frame of the door. And we love those kind of old little houses. But I did have problem with the black. I never used black in my painting until then. And the Welsh, they love black. They love pink, the black pin. There's a cow, the black cows and the black sheep. And I go, geez, what's the problem with the people with the black color? And then slowly, I began, because you know that in the art school you have to do class school. It's a class, that's all. And then slowly I began to collect the Welsh thing, and they were very tough with me. They go, can I have some coffee? No. This only proper Welsh pub. We don't want here coffee, okay, whatever it is. And then we used to go to places and the signers say, no tea, no coffee, no sandwich. And we go, what's the problem? But the signer was written for the English tourists. And slowly they really began to like me when they saw I am not English, because I speak proper. I don't speak. I speak to them in English. They said, "What's English?" I said, "No, I'm from Cuba." And then I began to go to their staffroom and become a very good friend with the Welsh artists and musicians. I know them very well, and a lot of them they asked me to sing. And then I just went to the back door because not being in English. And some of them they go, "Oh, Raul, we don't speak about English people." and that's how I get into the Welsh culture, to the back door, by speaking Spanish. No, because somehow at the time they found very, at least they found some of my friends. They are very die-hard Welsh politicians or whatever you call it, and we avoid the English thing. And then, because I speak Spanish, it was easy for me, and I learning all the music and the culture, and I love permission.
Yeah, well, here we are, 29 years on, and it seems very much that this is home.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Which it is for many people who've moved here. So yeah. James and I moved to Pembrokeshire 15 years ago, and county is a very welcoming, very welcoming place.
And also we have I have a friend of mine who say, "Don't tell that to people." And I said, "Well, I tell it because we're family." and there are faces I'm looking there that they make me feel welcome. Absolutely, they make me feel welcome. And I could mention them, but I see they all standing here. Trevor Davis and
and you've got some other very different style paintings in the back, in the kitchen, which are very Welsh. So the formidable ladies with the stovetop backgrounds, talking of
I don't know those ladies.
They're quite fierce. Right?
Because I mean, one of these die-hard Welsh friend of mine. All the time I say mention Welsh, he goes, "Oh no, this is how it's going." And I said, "Oh, I am painting, I'm collecting. I only collect this vernacular scene for anywhere I go. And women face, I love women face and what they do, they wear." And then they said, "You know these old ladies you painting. You know the story. The story is that some of the English coming here, paparazzi, and they went to the mental hospital and they give a backhanded money to the curator of those hospitals or whatever, and they brought their own hat. And they take the picture in Rome. And then when you see this old lady, they are like and then you go, "Why are they?" And it's not because they are not proper, the normal white people. They are illegal photographs made by paying to the mental hospital. But you buy your postcard, you look in the back, and will say where it is, who it is, when it has been done. And I have an enormous collection of those. And I decided to begin to painting them because I said, "Look, I will love it than Cuba. We'll have those kind of vernacular tradition with heart," and I really love those pictures. I'm the first one who done it.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing them here and sharing them with us. Last section. This is not time or place based. As you do walk down through the kitchen, you will see a lot of Raul's very religious themed paintings. And I'm just going to read a little quote which I found in your Childhood of the Revolution book. This is by Rosemary Hawley-Jarman.
Rosemary, yes.
So Rosemary wrote, "His music is wedded to his painting. Whoever hears his interpretation of Morning Has Broken is aware of the ardour realised in his iconic images of Christ's Passion. In paint or in song, he is one with the suffering of Christ." You chose to call this exhibition My Pilgrimage. My last question to you is, given the substantial amount of your art is Christian, Christ crucified, quite dramatic paintings, do these images come from your personal spiritual belief? Do they come from the predominantly religious culture that you grew up with in Cuba? And your pilgrimage, what kind of spiritual journey is it, and where are you now?
Okay, there are two things that I have to clarify. I do believe it. After I went to art school, I refused to have go any style because the word style is a European view, or is a concept who is made out by Immanuel Kant, the German philosopher, and then they pressure you into this kind of thing. And then at the moment I just want to separate myself. I am more like an aboriginal in some other way, where I'm coming from, Australia. And then when I mean aboriginal, I mean I want to take all these phases that society is making the way I would think or make a decision. I always have been very troublemaker child. Very. I mean, I feel sorry for the people who look after me. And then maybe it's to do with that. Maybe it's not to do with my mind. It's to do with I have been always rebel all the time and difficult child. Then I do know people say, "Do you believe in God?" And I say, "No, I do not believe in God." I know. And then what I mean, they go, "What do you say?" What I mean is that I already have go. I'm not coming from my mother part, now I know that my nephews, when they refer to our ancestors, they always say, "Oh, these people, they were all religion and voodoo and doing this and like that." And what I mean is that nothing is moved in the visible world without being connected to the invisible. Mm-hmm. And my father used to, I do that today. My father used to go in a horse for 12 hours to buy food for the 12 children. And because the horses running around doing this, the bean falling from the floor, and he stopped. And he collected one by one. And then if he eats the fruit, he puts in the ground. And he talked to the fruit. I used to see my father talking to the sweet potato. and then one day was a man in my house with the BBC. The BBC went to Tibet or whatever, Dharamsala. They brought him because he was the personal assistant for the Dalai Lama. And he was cooking for us. And because they are vegetarian, they were fruit, all the fruit. And I take one of the fruit and I eat it. And I keep it seed in my head. But he was cooking, but he could see with the corner of his eyes what I was doing. And I just took and I pushed him to a tree who was like this. And he go, "Raul, very good." He was so happy that I did that. And then I go, "Oh, we have a connection there." And because it's to do with an awareness. If somebody I see my brother making guitar, and they see a tree and they go, "That branch, no, not that branch." And they decided that branch is better for a guitar. But before they cut the tree, they do a little prayer to ask a permission to the god of the forest to use the thing you need, not the disposable. I mean, in English a lot of disposable stuff. And then it's an inner spiritual sense who coming from my aboriginal, aboriginal. And I think, if you say poor people, you go to Argentina, all the poor country in the world, they all believe it in anything who coming from up there. No. Castro, give me this. When Castro's gone, they go, "Christ." I know my family are communists. My sister's a doctor, like one of the best doctors in the world. She's retired now, no? And in Cuba, she criticized me to be anti-communist. But now she's in the church in Dallas. And they go, "What's the problem with you, woman?" And then they all went in Cuba. As soon as Castro died, they went, "Okay, Christ." And then poor people tended to go fiercely. But I believe that I am more into and when I do Christ, the image of Christ, I am not painting Christ that the people know, because I never knew how Christ looked like. I am painting myself, or my inner self. And you see the Christ I painted, they don't have blood or no, it's something that looks like an Australian aboriginal, the original human being who is us. And then that is what it's like a strong spiritual connection with the world, and they call it Pachamama. not only us, everybody know the farmer, they say the ground, the mother earth. And it's about that kind of, and I began to do it because, that's part. In here you go to a hospital, somebody is ill. And before you go to the room, it's a chocolate, flowers. And then people buy a lot of things and bring to in Cuba you cannot do that. I mean, it's because nothing, you cannot do that. And then they bring things, but in Cuba it's nothing. And you are not allowed to bring anything because you cannot interfere with the patient diet or whatever it is. And I used to bring I always travel with one of those. And I send down to these people there, and I do a little image of Christ. And like a postcard, and I leave it to them. And I put it in the wall. And all of them, they go lucky and they get leg out of Cuba. And they leave it to somebody else. And they saw that this Christ have some kind of power or something. And then when I feel, because for me the world is bigger inside than outside. It's why I prefer living inside. And when I feel like I'm dealing with some problem, I meditate in that image, and then the image of Christ gives me some solace. But it's not necessarily that Christ that people know.
Yeah.
No.
So, I mean...
And the other question was about pilgrimage. The pilgrimage.
The pilgrimage, yeah. Well, so a life journey.
Okay, we have a good discussion with Trevor and David. And in Pembrokeshire, something is called the pilgrimage walk. I started that very well. I will talk about that with the picture. We discussed a lot about that. And then Trevor say, no get confused with the pilgrimage. But we just say, look, it's about, and you say, well, it's about me. And then I believe that we all are on a pilgrimage. No? And for me, what it means is, you always stand down here and you go, oh my God, I have to pay for the bill for the gas. I have to pay for the car insurance. And in your head, you are doing a prayer, and you move it forward as same, and then, like the picture say, you're kneeling on the floor and you pray, and you go, okay, go to the pub now. And then what I mean is, that prayer never finishes when you finish to pray. And then, my life is a pilgrimage, and I believe that we are going somewhere. I don't know where we're going, but I have a little pretty clue where I want to go. But that's what it means, and I believe I have more time behind than from. And that's what it means, the pilgrimage. Oh my God, look at that. Question?
Right. Well, thank you, Raul, for sharing your paintings, your life, your journey with us today. I'm not going to do Q&A from here because that's between you and some refreshments, but Raul is among us and we can all go and...
But can we have one or two questions? Anybody have one? I don't mind. We can reflect on them drinking.
If we have one or two questions, I'm good with that. Yes, Brenda.
Apart from the council, what have you found most challenging? Council objecting to your. What have you found most challenging about living in Pembrokeshire?
The If I go to a house where it's a gentleman who is very well educated and he plays music, violin, whatever it is, and then he meets me for the first time, he just say, "Do you play music?" And I go, "Yeah." But I don't feel it. The BBC interviewed me a few days ago, and he go, "And you feel like a long way from home?" And I go, "I don't like that question." And they go, "Why?" I said, "Well, because it's my home. I live in Solomon. I live more time here than in Cuba." Thank you all very much.